Hi, hello. My name is Blyth Hazen. I'm coordinator of the Animation and Interactive Media program at Montserrat College of Art. And this is my Friday post-production and visual effects class. And today we're really excited to have with us Brian Budak, who's an award-winning VFX artist and video editor.
My name is Brian Budak. We went over all that. I'm a compositor and compositing supervisor over at a company called Zero VFX right now in Boston. Um, you did watch the reel, I'm guessing, so I'm gonna kind of go past that. So that's all my work. Some of it's every shot on there is a shot that I have worked on, and if and some of those shots, like I've done the whole thing. Some of the shots, like I'm working with a team of CG artists who are giving me 3D elements, and I'm um, taking those 3D elements and combining them with what we call live action plates, so the things that they shoot on set. And that's basically my job, but we'll get there. So I'm going to give you a quick background. I'm going to blast through this. But this is me and my friends at Mass Art. So at age 11, after seeing Fight Club, got fascinated with just filmmaking and wanted to kind of do it myself. I was kind of like a huge fan of really out there weird filmmaking, and kind of kept deep diving and finding weirder, cooler stuff, or like got obsessed with horror movies and kind of went from there. But so a friend of mine and I saved up to buy an Apple G4, which I just looked up, and it's called a vintage computer now. So that kind of is like a interesting thing, how rapidly this technology changes, where like you guys probably wouldn't even recognize what this thing looks like. Then me and him got our hands on a ripped copy of Final Cut Pro, and we started making like weird films for like the local talent show. And like I was making skate movies because I was like into skateboarding, horror, zombies. So I just kind of like took all that stuff and was constantly had a camera in my hand, was constantly making movies and little things like that. So I took that knowledge, as well as I also I like drawing and things like that. So I was always sort of artistically inclined. So took all that, applied to Mass Art among many other colleges. Kind of at the time, I kind of fell ass backwards into it. I was like not really sure I wanted to go to college, but like it was something my parents thought I wanted to do, or I should do. So like I don't know, I kind of wound up falling ass backwards, like I said, into it, but it wound up being a really good place for me, especially at that time in my life. So while I was there, I like did a lot of kind of experimental work. I was doing like work as a VJ, so like taking live video feeds and flipping them and reversing them and doing all this kind of stuff, and doing like performances with dancers, as well as like making short films and stuff, and working on 16 millimeter film, learning how to shoot, edit, and do visual effects and graphics. So you kind of like I got like just such a base level, like wide gamut of like information, and that's like what I left school with, was like this like kind of a jack of all trades, master of none. But in my career, I found that that's an advantage. A lot of times people do want to put you in a box, and I never liked boxes or anything like that. So I would say to all you guys out there, like if you have a fascination with like Pixar animation, 3D, whatever, like I would go run with it, but not everybody's going to know exactly what format or what their specialty is or what their niche is up front. And I'd just say it's good to have like a base level of knowledge in a lot of different mediums. And they always, like, no matter what it is, it always informs the work you're going to do. But that's a little tangent I went on. But at the time, I worked at an ice cream shop, and then I interned at a company called Aspect, and they used to put out these DVDs of lots of time-based media, things you couldn't really like look up in an art book or anything. So like they were just like lots of documents of performance art and video sculptures and things like that. And I would design the menus, and I know you guys probably don't even like use DVDs anymore, but like you used to have to like navigate through things. So I would like hook up all the buttons, but make it cool and interactive and sort of like its own art project on its own. And then, just like did a lot of work with friends, like my friends here. My friend there, Kate Giordano, she's doing lots of great work in New York right now. I think just had a show open up. So yeah, like I would say like another kind of, parting piece of wisdom, not parting because I'm not going anywhere, but like a piece of wisdom to give to you is just like, hang on to your friends that you're working with now. I know it's probably difficult because everything's remote, but the people you're working with now, collaborating now, you'll end up consulting them 10 years from now. Like my friend Kate, who has this show that's opening, is like, she'll call me for, tech advice, just like we used to do back in the day. So like, hang on to those relationships. They're super important. And I kind of say that every time I get the opportunity. So basically after Mass Art, I spent a year in Boston, and there wasn't much going on. There is now, but at the time there wasn't a whole lot of, filmmaking, visual effects, or commercial work. There was like a handful of studios, but I opted to just move to New York, where I graduated in 2008, which is like a sort of a tough time to go looking for a job. So I did keep working at an ice cream shop for a little bit, and then got hired as an intern at this company called The Station, which was like a little boutique shop. There was maybe 4 artists, whether they're editors, animators, motion graphics guys. And I kind of joined that team as an intern. I asked a lot of questions. I was the eager intern that wouldn't leave anyone alone. So I would say if you do get an internship, don't be afraid to bother people, because that's kind of how I got my first job in the industry. So got hired there. We worked on mostly commercials. At the time, I wasn't really excited about working on commercials. I kept trying to, I've always tried to steer my career towards working on feature films, whether it was my own work or whether it was working professionally on somebody else's. That's always where my heart was. So I will say at that company, I learned a lot about what it is to, one, be an editor, but also just be an artist collaborating with clients, because there's like, right now, a lot of the times you're doing your own work, and you're kind of able to like take an assignment, or even if it's not an assignment, you're doing a thesis project or something, like you're working for yourself, and it's huge to learn how to have the discipline to complete something on your own. It gets harder as the years go on, but when you start working with clients, you gotta really communicate, and you also gotta listen a lot more than just tell them like, I'm the artist, I'm the editor here, I know what to do, or I'm the visual effects artist, this is how it's gonna go. So I will say like communication skills are huge. You want to work well with others. You want to be open and accepting of ideas, and open to critiques, as well as giving good ones to other people without, becoming too political, or sabotagey or backstabby, that kind of thing. So communication skills, huge. Other thing I kind of pulled from that experience at that time in my life. Being an editor was somewhat like being a used car salesman, whereas I thought like, oh, well, I'm the editor, I'm going to put all the footage together, I'm going to do these things, and you'll just say you like it or you don't. But when you're working with a client, sometimes the client's in the room with you, actually telling you, or you're talking about different decisions and how to make them. Sometimes you have to sell somebody on the idea of what you're doing, and like be like, idea VFX is everywhere. Basically, like every film you watch now, like a standard film, like, that maybe if it were shot in the 70s would have no visual effects whatsoever. But like my first film I worked on at Zero was a film called Daddy's Home 2 with Will Ferrell and Mark Wahlberg. And it's just like this stupid screwball comedy kind of thing. And a film like that had 256 visual effects shots. So like you wouldn't quite think, like we had to hit Will Ferrell in the face with a tetherball. Like we did that like with visual effects. You would think like oh, you could just hit them in the face. It's like, no, there's like timing issues, there's safety things now. Like, so there's that. And then you have like, let's say if you go back to Jurassic Park, the one shot in 1993, incredible storytelling. I think, in my opinion, it's to me one of my all-time favorite films. Um, 70 visual effects shots, and it was always hailed as this like incredible feat where they were basically they were making visual effects with something like the same power as your iPhone now. So it is pretty incredible that it was 70 visual effects shots, but they were done carefully in a clever way so that, like, for the most part, looking back on that film, it still works. Now Jurassic World, there's like 2,000 visual effects shots now. So whether it's, you know, a film like Little Women, where, you know, it's just like this classic tale that you want to see told well, and you want to see period accurate scenes, and you want to see the snow on the ground is fresh and pure and clean, and the ice, the water's frozen. Like, you can kind of use visual effects in different ways, and I would just encourage you guys, no matter where you're going, if you're going to be in the world of filmmaking or art making, just know that this is another tool, say like a video camera, or like another choice you make, like, oh, well, do I shoot in black and white? Do I shoot in color? Do I, do a visual effect here because it's going to save me time, money, or it's the only way to accomplish my goal. And all this stuff is rapidly evolving, which is maybe one of my favorite things about the industry, is that it's like super exciting. Like, every year there's something new. Like, right now everybody's like talking about how they shot The Mandalorian on a complete light stage. They eliminated the use of green screen, which is such a pain in the ass to do. Like, it's like a huge part of my job, but it's such a pain in the ass. So, like, it's cool. Like, people are always like evolving, and the tools are always getting better, and it just means you can just tell the story that much better, or that in a much more convincing way, or or you could save some money, and therefore you can afford a better actor for your film, whatever it might be. So yeah, I work at Zero now. They were kind enough to let me move out of Boston, and now I'm hanging out in the Berkshires. This is kind of the moment where I, could do a lot of things. I would like to maybe hear how many people are in this class. Like,
there's like 14 of us, I think, 13,
no
14.
Way. I can't even see everybody.
Yeah.
So maybe it'd be cool at this point, like, if I could kind of hear what you guys are interested in. Are you guys like more animators? Are you guys gonna, any filmmakers out there that are trying to like go shoot something and need the answer to a question? I mean, I would love to just like get a feel for what you guys are interested in, and then from there I can maybe show you a little After Effects demo, show you Nuke, or like we could just look at pretty pictures, or talk about pipeline and how these films get made, or my job, whatever. So I don't know if there's a good way to hear from everybody without everybody shouting at once, but I don't know if you'll do that anyways.
You can type in the chat. That might work.
Here we go. Chat. The chainsaw bit. Oh, from my reel? Okay. I'm hoping to work in pre-pro for video games or animation and TV shows. Okay, that's really cool. I started actually because are you, and is this Sav? Let me see if I can find Sav. It's hard to like.
Hold on, sorry, I was trying to put on my mic.
Okay, cool. So, that's very cool. I'm sure you on like, do you check out ArtStation and things like that? It sometimes can be risque because people are weird, but I always check out this website. And for a while, I was starting to want to get into like doing concept design, and like this again there's so much overlap between the softwares, so that's super cool. Because basically, if you get involved in the pre-production side of things, that means you're sort of you're doing even more to kind of help control and influence the look and design of a film. which is actually really exciting. Like I have tons of books here actually of like. I always get the concept art books. Do you do that as well? Like have you?
I do. I've been doing it a lot more recently. I have like games about. I have like books about like how games were made and stuff. And I've recently bought stuff about like the Steven Universe movie and stuff that has just come out. So I love the look of concept art.
Cool. Yeah. Like I mean, I have like them all at reaching distance. Like, and one of the cool things I find, and maybe it's a good understanding. It's like because if you're doing concept stuff, you don't want to like really limit. You don't want to limit yourself the same way I sort of have to, because a lot of times it's about like budgets and whatnot. But it is cool to know, like, because the technologies are kind of merging from post-production to pre-production, so there's something super exciting like that's happening. Like it's right now it's happening. So very cool that you're interested in that. If I come across anything, I'll send that. I think I have a couple links actually that I think are cool in terms of pre-production. Somebody else, somebody was agreeing with me. Yes, ArtStation rules. Animators. So animation is awesome. I mean, like in the sense that you have to understand like how the world works, and a lot of like jobs in this industry, you just have to like have an understanding of how things operate, whether it be like for animation, right? Like, yes, you want to understand like walk cycles and like timing and how to get your timing exactly right and exactly beautiful. But there's also like maybe when it comes to finishing your project, you also want to know like, do you want it to look like your project was shot through a lens, and maybe what kind of lens things happen? Because sometimes like you look at like a really bright light in your lens, and like it flares out, and like you can kind of do like a cool like I don't know if you guys liked Into the Spider-Verse or whatever. Like that, I mean that movie's so sick, right? But like they're taking all these things from like visual effects knowledge. Like they finished. Each shot was finished in Nuke, and they had different controls to say, there's like these dots are going to represent the shading, and it was done in the software that I actually use. It started in a 3D program, but like a guy like me actually finished some of those shots. But what's cool is like you kind of still have to think about things like light and even just camera angles and things like that. Like think of how cinematic that film is, like it's like comic book versus in cinema and like anime-ish, like they do so many cool things. So awesome. So you guys are just talking about it. Hell yeah. Yes, that movie's so good. It's like that's such a great, like, to me that's such a beautiful like representation of like all of the things I'm interested in, because I do love animation. I'm just not at all good at it. So I watch animation films like, and I'm like, okay, cool. This is going to help me, just because like I'm like, these people had to come up with this from scratch. But a lot of times you see like in the behind the scenes of like animated films, you see like guys that are just filming themselves like doing stupid like there's like a good behind the scenes for Ratatouille where there's like a guy, the animator's filming himself actually cooking a meal, and he's like falling all over the place and stuff like that. Like there's like, I don't know. I feel like it's all the same thing is basically my point. So very cool that it's good to hear what you guys are kind of into. How far along are you guys like with, say, either After Effects or in your own art practice? Like, are you guys like doing your own work yet, or are you kind of just like figuring it out? Like,
I feel like still learning.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah, but that's perfect. And I mean, I think you're at a great point to do that. And and again, you never stop learning. Like it's super cool. These are all tools. Character design and animation. Okay, cool. So there's a lot of people in the animation, which is great. Not exactly what I do, but again, like we can talk about like some of the rollover, but like even like I said, like finishing Into the Spider-Verse is like in the software I'm using, which like a lot of people finish in After Effects, and that's totally fine. After Effects is actually really good at that. That's like what I would say one of its like strong suits is that it's great. It's a great animating tool. It's great for like 2D stuff. It's great for, doing, like doing renders in 3D and combining it with 2D animations. Like, I would say definitely, the worlds of 2D and 3D are also starting to merge. Like, I know, like, I don't know if anyone's like a cell animator out there, but like, God bless you. But, like the fact that like everything is sort of like merging is also a beautiful thing, especially thinking about concept art. That's another, like, a lot of concept art that people start with like 3D models and then they do paint overs and like, you're just like, the idea is like, get the most bang for your buck. The tools are out there. They're always changing. So very cool. I'm so excited for you guys. I wish I was like doing this myself, like, being able to like explore. So very cool. Do you guys want to see like either a quick I know you saw my reel. I have like a setup for how I made my head float off my body in After Effects. And you can kind of watch me stumble through After Effects because I barely use it anymore, but or I could show you. Okay, so let's do the After Effects one. And then
Can I ask a quick? Ooh.
Absolutely, go for it.
This is a question that came up before you came, just a little bit. I was wondering where you. I'm Nathan, by the way. I forgot about that. I was wondering, like with Little Women as an example, where did you get like the assets for, like the different plates and such? Like, did they give you them, or did like for the snow effects and stuff off of the back of the heels, and for like the?
Oh, sure, dude. Okay, cool. Good question. So in this shot, okay. So I think a good starting point is to check this out. Like one of the biggest things, like one of the hugest advantages we can have when working on a feature film is to actually have been there on set. So we had a team of guys, let's say like 3 guys that were on set. They were out there. They did what's called a Lidar Scan, which I don't know if you know about that, but like it's just a little device. I'll look it up, see if something comes up for that. It's a little device that you kind of place in the scene that you're about to film. And what's cool about it is, this is all like on your phone. Oh, okay, so this is like a common one. This is a Lidar scanner. So you set this up in an environment, and it basically is. I think it's sending out like sonar, basically. So just think of it. It's like this central point scans the whole environment. So then you just have like, okay, we're gonna shoot here. This is where the platform we built is in the scene, and we can like bring that into 3D software, and it looks like this. Like. It's some of it's like really bad resolution, and when it comes to leaves, you don't get every leaf or whatever, but we have a good idea of where everything is. So from there, we had our CG team, and this is what you're seeing now. They built this entire asset, and what I think the advantage of me and my team at Zero VFX is like we all work tightly together. So like I'm talking to the 3D artist and I'm saying, oh, can we get a little more reflection? And I think, like there needs to be a little bit more breakup. And then our overall supervisor is like, well, over here, see here, we're like, okay, this is where she's going to eventually fall in. So there's like this whole asset has to be built almost like in a video game, like, cause there's like storytelling, like they have to come from the house, they have to come around the corner, and then the sister falls through the hole here. Spoiler alert. And what's kind of cool is like we're gathering all this. Then the other thing with what was amazing is we have a guy that's his job is called the map painter, and so he is basically using Photoshop to paint the snow in. So what he did was he went back to this location in the wintertime. We worked on this for 8 months, I think. Which is crazy. But he went back in the wintertime and he photographed all of these trees with snow on them and was able to lay those over the filmed plates. We call plates the shots that were captured by the camera. And so he was going through and like just lining things up from all of the photography he took. Then from there, the way we did things like this was, so the skates, we had to do what's called a match move, and that's another guy's job. He or girl, I'm sorry, where they will go and track the motion of the camera, so you can get a 3D representation of the actual camera in your 3D software. So you can basically then, you know, move through the scene and place things in 3D that will line up with the 2D plate that was shot. So these ice skates were 3D ice skates that I think we either bought them off of a site called Turbo Squid, or we augmented them ourselves. Like, I don't think we actually built them from scratch, but we could have. This is a cool place if you're ever looking for 3D models. Anyways, yeah.
I'm an illustrator, and I like to go on those like Sketchfab and TurboSquid
Yeah.
and to try to find reference images and stuff. So
great.
like
Yeah, and it's like we use the same stuff, because if it's already been built, like there's no sense in spending, you know, days building an asset that's already there.
Yeah.
Like that's like, we're always thinking like that, is like, how do you cut the corners? And it's just like, it's good to know how to do everything, but it's also good to cut corners every once in a while, because then the project can actually get finished. But then, so we've got all that. We came up with this setup to reflect the people in the ice. That was another thing we had to do. The lines were done. We took these 3D tracks of the skates, and I don't know if you guys are going to totally get this, but like we basically took those and we had basically a 3D representation of the ice and where the ice was at. And we just like looked at it from below, and we saw where the tracked skates were coming in contact with the ice, and we just painted little shapes on top of that. And then you just reveal them gradually as they're skating. So like this is all like the secret sauce that's like, that really makes it so good. And like maybe why I'm so excited about this. You guys are making me excited about my job again. And then this stuff is, so these things, the ice being thrown, that's actually from my garage. So that was me in my garage. My wife was like, what are you doing? Why do we have giant bowls of ice in the freezer? And I was like, I gotta shoot this thing, hold on. And so like I would like go into the garage with my giant bowl of ice, take a drill up all the ice chips, and then throw them with like a little shovel, and then filmed it from above. And that's actually where we got the little ice chunks that were coming off the skates. So it's like, as I'm explaining it, because sometimes I show people this, or I tell them, oh, I worked on Little Women, and I spent 8 months of my life for what was 4 minutes on film, and it feels a little like deflating. But as I explain it, I'm like, we did so much work, you know, like, and everything took a ton of work like that. This one, we're making the trees and you know, all this stuff. And then when it comes down to this is like one of those moments, and I'm sure you guys are going to have these in your careers, that like nearly broke me. I was nearly broken trying to make this, the sister be trapped in this ice, because this is what they shot. And then they were like, it doesn't look dangerous enough. We need the ice chunks to be breaking. So this process was so insanely tedious to accomplish. Getting the plate they shot, so they got what looks like a stop sign cut in the ice. And they thought, on the day they shot it, they were like, looks great, good to go. So we have to do, we tried to match move her body in the water. So the way you can think of that is like they rotomate a 3D model to move like her in the water, reaching for the stick, things like that. They throw that into water, and we get a water simulation, which is what you're seeing here, that's spilling on top of the ice. A 3D guy rendered this, but we also took what they did shoot and reproject it back onto moving geometry in the ice, and then putting the water back on top, sinking pieces of ice in water that wasn't really like that wasn't really there. Like it was like one of the it was one of the craziest things ever in my career doing that. But like, yeah, good question, because it got me super pumped.
It's good to see the scope of it.
Yeah, the idea is that like all this stuff comes from nothing, comes from nowhere. We're either making it or we shot it, So a big thing if you guys are ever thinking of going out and shooting something on your own. I know you're mostly animators, so you're gonna have like the utmost control. You guys think I'm a power freak. You guys are gonna control an entire world, But like, I guess the cool thing is that like you gotta just be like, I don't know. You gotta be clever. You gotta be a problem solver to figure this stuff out, and that's what keeps me interested. But you're gonna do the same, no matter what. It seems like all your interests are kind of like somewhat aligned. This is a cool class that like all you guys seem to be like into similar stuff and into some of the same things. So I would just say like hit up your classmates as well, especially in this time. It's going to be hard to like reach out to the person. It's not like you're going to like walk by them in the lab necessarily. I mean, maybe, I don't know, maybe some of you guys are able to work in a lab, but like, always like the crazy mind melts happened with me where like at like 1 a.m. in the studio I shared with my studio mate, and like we just would be like, what am I gonna do for this? And like, you know what you should try, like that. Those are always the moments that are like maybe most fulfilling about school, but also about like really like trying to get something accomplished. Should I jump and do this quick After Effects demo? I'm gonna whip through it.
We're happy to keep you on longer, but we've only officially have you till 2:30, and we're at the edge, so
okay. It's
really up to you.
Well, I know you're about to cover some of this material, so maybe it'd be like good to see like some of it in
for
play,
real,
and then for real, and then you guys can like you'll learn these concepts more and more. More you learn about After Effects. So I'm gonna bring this sucker up, which is my big dumb head, and I'll just show you kind of what we shot and what's gonna go into it. So what we shot was my head moving around, looking pretty dumb with like a really bad green screen behind it. The other thing we shot was what we call a clean plate, which is with no one there. So there, you'll see why in a second. And then this is the actual plate that we're working on top of. And I call things plates because that's how we call it, but like it's a shot. So this is our basis, right? The way I'm going to use the clean plate, and this is set up like the way we shot it was so that it would be super easy to do because, again, I was doing this project for free for the guys from Mass Art. It was for their little, sales pitch of a video to say, if you go to school, you can get a job. But so what I'm going to do quickly is I'm masking out the clean plate layer. I have turned the eyeball off, so I'm not looking at it, so I can actually see where I want to place this clean plate, so I can remove my head, basically. So right now, we're trying to do the old Sleepy Hollow effect of removing a head. And I'm just drawing what we would call a garbage shape because it's not very nice. So there you go. I'll go ahead now and turn the eyeball on. And so there you go. My head's gone. What we'll do is because if I remove the lines, like it's pretty good, but you can still see the edge of this mat. So I'm going to kind of go ahead and selectively feather. What's this is somewhat new in After Effects is the mask feather. When I started in After Effects, this did not exist. And one of the reasons why I learned Nuke was to have just tools that would make your life easier like this. So right now what I'm doing is I'm saying, okay, over here, I don't want there to be a lot of feathering, but up in here where I have big soft shapes, like a big, gradient that I need to blend, I'm going to do some big soft roto shapes. And so I'm grabbing that, and there you go. Like you can see the dotted line represents my feather. And I've gone ahead and, drawn big soft shapes so it kind of blends in nicer. This edge here is sharp. No edge is ever this sharp in terms of things that are captured through a camera. So I'm going to hit F and just put a slight feather on everything, and then there you go. You're good to go. I have no head. And you could stop there because then without a head, you wouldn't hear me talking so much. But what we're going to do is we're going to now pull a quick green screen. And what I'm going to do is instead of doing this green screen right on top of here, I'm going to work in a pre-comp because it's going to be cleaner and easier for me to understand when I go to animate my head coming off my body. So I'll just call it green screen comp. I don't think any of this even matters because I didn't change anything. And I'm going to just click through it. And so now I have this piece of footage. Oh, and I do want to use the attributes. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to pre-comp it again. And I'm going to say move all attributes into new composition. So that way the composition, the nested composition I made is exactly the length that I want it to be with this prepared footage. So I think one of the first things I'm going to do here is duplicate the footage so I have a clean version of it. And by duplicating it, already created a track map, but I'm not going to select that quite yet. I'm going to go ahead and do my garbage mask because in the final shot you saw and I spent a whole lot more time. Whoops. I spent a whole lot more time on this shot, but I had this clean edge or whatever here. I'm gonna try to rough that in for you guys, and hopefully it's not too tedious. But this is not how I typically do roto. There's a school of thought that says to do good roto, you basically just put a bunch of shapes that are easy to move, combine them together. But I'm not gonna. If I had more time, I'd teach you that methodology. But I'm gonna just go ahead and do another kind of ugly garbage shape. But you'll get the idea. All right. Same idea where I've created my neck. I'm gonna turn the mask off for now so I can just track it through the shot. I'm gonna just do this roughly again for the sake of time. So we're moving a little bit. All right, I'm just gonna make sure it lines up and I'm not getting any of the collar or much of the collar. I would clean this up for final, but this is to give you the idea. All right, here's my mat. And my head's rotating. I don't put my collar again, so I'm going to try and hide it. That's probably. And then let's just see the end of the shot. Just move it to where I want it. This could be better as always, but anywho. I wonder if I screwed myself here by not doing a feathered mat, but we'll see. Okay, so therefore, my mask is doing this, right? The other thing I'm going to do with this layer now, the layer without the mask, I'm going to pull my key. And I'll tell you why I'm doing this on separate layers. And the reason is because it's quite a noisy image, and I will probably add some denoise on that. But what happens is it gets, what's the one? Key light. All right, so, but typically what you do with a green screen is you try to pull your key and get what's called the alpha channel clean, and you can do that by, I forget the keys. What's the keys? Oh no, I've forgotten all my hotkeys. Alt 4 will show you your alpha channel. And so you see it's all noisy and stuff. So I'm going to go in while looking at my alpha channel and just go ahead and clean it up. There's a whole lot of other things to know about how to use key light, but this is just a quick one. So basically I just, like, if you want to talk about how I learned it, I just went and hit every knob and tried to make it look better. But there is reasons why I'm hitting certain knobs and not others, but that's for a later date. I'm going to clamp the white values down so I'm getting as little of this black area into the area of my head. I'm just creating the best matte I can in this limited amount of time. All right. Soften it a little. Always want to soften it a little. And I'm gonna, if I were taking more time with this, I would go in and try to make sure I could either draw a roto shape in here to create an even better matte. But again, that's a time thing. So you're like, what is this guy doing? There's all these, what is this? This is crap. But one of the magic buttons here, and I know Blyth said she was gonna you're gonna talk about this, is we're gonna just use the track matte here. We're gonna say I want to use the alpha matte of this layer above. So like in Photoshop and clipping masks, this is basically like a clipping mask, and I'm saying, okay, use the green screen to matte my head out. Okay, so now I have this severed head, and like I said, I clean up this edge, but that's my severed head. The one last thing to take into account is the green spill, which is what you always get when you have a green screen behind your head. What you want to do is then put the green spill suppressor on this layer. The reason I did this is because you saw how chunky and grungy this layer got just using the normal keying method. So I'm using a track matte of the key on top of this, which has a spill suppressor that's removing the green that's spilling onto my head. So therefore it just looks like a little more natural without green glows on my head. And this also has the matte mask layer. There's, you know, there's always 100 ways to do these kinds of things, but this is how I did it today, and I'll probably do it differently tomorrow, and maybe that's another one of my favorite things. But what I'm going to do is hit Y, grab what we call the anchor point, and just drag it over to that part of my head. I'm going to put it like, so this would be the later shot where my head's like maybe floating. That's why we shot it this way. So it looked like I was looking down at my body. Like, what's happening? And we can start at the beginning of the shot, put a little position keyframe, and then go to the end of the shot and just move it so that we get this effect of my head floating from my body. The added little kicker to make this effect really work is I had done this paint before, but the paint, I'll show you, is just replacing that collar where my head had gone missing. So what you do is you put that underneath. There, I think. Okay. Okay, it should be probably moved. Probably moved, and then I'd go ahead and mask this out. And there you go, and then go to my mat, then go to subtract, and then grab this tool here. Then you kind of got that look. So the collar's back on my shirt, and I'd probably just put a little blur on it because it looks really sharp. I'm gonna have to have that selected. Blur, Gaussian blur. 3. I don't know. But there you go. That's the head. That's the theory of the head floating shot. That's your introduction to track mats. Track mats, is that what they call them in After Effects? And yeah, so that's After Effects. That's your little After Effects tutorial. Yay!
Huh.
I guess let me show you just quickly. And here I have a video of of me actually doing it when I was working on this project. Might be it. Okay, so this is really low res. Yeah, it's just a really bad looking image. But this is me doing it in Nuke. So remember I was telling you oh, there's different ways to roto things out. This is how I typically roto it. I would draw all these little intersecting shapes so that I could animate it perfectly, so that the roto masks look good. This is my key in Nuke, and again, see, it's sort of a different methodology than that big garbage mask I drew, and it just gave me a little bit more control. And then combining it and doing all that kind of stuff, similar theories, right? And this is me painting the collar, so I was just kind of making it up from nothing. You kind of just go, okay, I had a couple images of the of my collar, and you just kind of warp it into place and get it exactly right. See, there I am putting a photograph. So here's the photograph I took of my collar on that day, and then just put that in. So yeah, Nuke, the difference with Nuke is more of this what's called node-based compositing as opposed to layer-based like After Effects. It's you've got ultimately a lot more control, and there's a lot more procedural things you can do, which basically means you're making less commitments. I think After Effects sort of forces you to commit to a look of something early on, and sometimes you can work with pre-comps in a smart way, but pre-comps, after you're doing 15 nested pre-comps, it starts to get a little crazy and you have thousands of layers. So Nuke is a little bit better for the style of work that I do, which is hyper real representations of the world, whereas After Effects, if you're doing shapes and colors and it's designy and it's got a stylized look to it anyways, you don't quite need all that heavy lifting. So yeah, that's maybe my presentation. I hope you guys enjoyed it.
Excellent. Thank you. Thank you so much, Brian.
Yeah, totally. Are there any closing questions or anything like that?
Sorta, I guess. You said that you sort of fell into school.
Yeah.
And it wasn't really something that wasn't your first choice. How would you say once you were in it, that went?
Well, I was always into filmmaking. So I guess my idea at the time was that I was well, I'll just get around to it eventually. When I was in high school, I was in a heavy metal band. So that's what I was doing, and that's what was taking up all my time. So I was I'll just tour till I'm dead. And then and then kind of I said, I fell backwards into school, but it was a really great environment because I was with a lot of other, kids that were either like me or different than me. And, I fed off that energy and got really, I honed in on like what I thought was going to be like the next 5 years of my life, and it just kind of like condensed into like, okay, I got into school, quit the band, and then was like, I'm taking this very seriously, like, and just like soaked in as much as I could, you know. And like I said, I was sort of a nuisance to everyone around me, but like I would like go like latch on to grad students. I'd be like, what you working on now? What are you doing now? You know, like you just that kind of stuff, you know, will really get you ahead. Don't be shy, you know, like everybody's, for the most part, people are willing to help you out, and like the worst thing you can do is ask, you know. And if they say no, I'm busy, you go, okay. Moving on. But yeah, that's the kind of, that's like, it was fortunate. It was a fortunate series of events for me. So yeah, totally.
Hey, I don't have a question per se. I want to say thank you because it's been a good presentation, and I want to keep it short because I'm gonna get nervous and stuff because you've done a lot of amazing work. But I just want to share this video because you talked about the Spider-Verse. So I just saw today that came out.
Yeah.
The game, the Marvel Spider-Man game, they put the animated model of the Into the Spider-Verse into the game, so you can play it, and the animation is phenomenal. So I just want
and it's real time. So
yes.
it's like, it's,
oh my god,
yeah.
it's wild.
That's what's insane. I mean, I at a certain point in my life was like fascinated with I was like really into video games, but it was starting to like take over my life. So I went cold turkey and I just stopped, you know. But the world of video games now is so exciting. Like, I mean, I'm like, I kind of see it as like it's come so far that it is now like it's storytelling. Yeah, look at how it moves, and like you could see like the stuttery frames. Yeah.
Yeah, the guy in the beginning is he's the co-director, I think. But he told them how they do halftones or twos. They dress in twos, so they did that in the game, so it looks like you're actually playing the movie.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, it was like a cartoon. It's awesome, man. Awesome. Thank you for sharing that.
Yeah,
it's really cool. Yeah, guys, thank you for. I mean, any other questions before I go? No. Okay.
I'm sure we could, but we've kept you like way too long already. Thank you so much, Brian.
I don't want to go back to work. I want to go back to school. All you guys sound like you're doing really cool, creative things. I honestly, I don't think there were that many kids in my class that were like had this many cool, unique interests that are definitely going to get you somewhere. So, like, guys, just keep up. Send me stuff. You know, reach out. I'll send you. I'm going to put my email in here, and then I'm going to link you to one of my latest projects and kind of the art that I'm trying to do now. And it's kind of fun and lighthearted and whatever. So feel free to take a look at that. So let me just put my email in. Gmail.com. I send you Vimeo link of my latest stuff and an Instagram of that work as well. So cool. Awesome, guys. This is really a great opportunity. It got me honestly like a little excited again about what I do. So I appreciate it as well. Thanks.
Thank you so much, Brian. Thank you.
Bye, guys. Have a good weekend.